Never stop reading Bible.
Today, we're diving into some fascinating case studies from an ancient community in the city of Corinth. They were wrestling with some major internal problems that, you'd be surprised, feel incredibly similar to the challenges we see in our own communities today.
And that's a huge question, right? Because internal conflict, if you let it go, can seriously unravel even the tightest-knit groups. The community in Corinth was staring this right in the face, dealing with everything from leadership drama to public lawsuits. All right, let's get into it.
So first up, we've got a massive crisis in leadership. But here's the twist. It wasn't really about the leaders failing. It was about how the community was treating them, and in the process, creating all these divisions and this, toxic pride.
What was happening was people were basically turning their leaders into celebrities. It was like, I'm on Team Paul, or, well, I follow Apollos. And this created all this jealousy and bickering, a total sense of division. They were literally ranking them against each other, and just completely missing the whole point of what a leader is supposed to be.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the difference here. On one side, you have the community, who saw leadership as this big popularity contest. But on the other, you have the actual standard. Leaders weren't meant to be rivals you judge, but stewards, basically caretakers of a mission, trusted with something sacred. So here's the bottom line. The real measure of a leader's success had nothing to do with their charisma or how many followers they had. It was all about their faithfulness. Were they loyal to the mission? Were they doing what they were called to do? That was the only thing that actually mattered.
And this quote just nails the solution. The message to the community was basically, hey, back off. It's not your job to be the final judge and jury. That ultimate evaluation of someone's work, of their heart, that's reserved for a higher authority. It's not for people to do to each other.
Okay, moving on to the next case study. And this one's a heavy one. The community was dealing with a really serious breakdown of its own ethical standards, and it was threatening their very identity from the inside out.
So the problem was this. There was a shocking case of incest happening right in their midst. But almost as bad as the act itself was the community's reaction, or really their lack of one. They were just silent, indifferent, almost kind of proud of how tolerant they were, when in reality it was a total failure to live up to their own values.
So the guidance they got wasn't about cutting themselves off from the world or judging people on the outside. No, it was all about keeping their own house in order. The steps were pretty clear. You got to confront the problem head-on, hold your own members accountable, and apply your standards to yourselves.
And this is a really important distinction. The point of this internal discipline wasn't just to punish somebody. It was meant to be protective and restorative. The idea was to protect the health of the whole group and to call that person back to the values that they had all agreed to live by.
All right, for our last case study, we're looking at what happens when internal drama spills out into the open for everyone to see. Members of the community had started taking each other to court, suing each other in the public legal system. This was the big debate, right? You've got the public legal system on one hand, which is designed to handle these things, but on the other, you've got this community that's supposed to handle its own problems based on its shared values. So, which one do you choose? And you can see here why this was so discouraged. First off, taking each other to court was basically a public admission that they couldn't handle their own problems. It made them look bad. The argument was that it's actually better to just get wronged, to take the loss, than to air all the community's dirty laundry in public and create a huge scandal. But here's the thing. This whole lawsuit mess, it was just a symptom of something way deeper. And the guidance they got connected this very public conflict to a much more profound, personal principle about how to live your entire life. And this is where the conversation takes a huge turn. It zooms out from this specific issue of lawsuits to a fundamental statement about personal conduct, about how you should view your own body. And boom, here's the principle that connects it all. The argument is that your very being is sacred. So every single action, whether it's how you handle a lawsuit, how you talk about a leader, or how you behave in private, all of it should reflect this much higher standard. So when you pull it all together, what have we got? It really boils down to these three core ideas for any healthy community. You need humility, seeing leaders as servants, not celebrities. You need purity, which means holding yourselves to your own standards. And you need accountability, which is about handling your own problems internally. Which brings us right back to today. These ancient problems, they're still our problems, aren't they? We see factions, ethical messes, public feuds. It's all still happening. So the real question for us is, How can these principles of humility, purity, and accountability help us build healthier communities right now?
It's just a powerful reminder that the struggles of building a good community are pretty timeless. This analysis was based on materials from the Center Studio.